You are 24 Technology, the uncatheter.
My name is Jesa Crawford, and I've been a surgical nurse in the operating room for 16 years now. I went to Duke for nursing school, and then I did my training at Georgetown. From DC, I went to Hawaii, then I helped build the Park City Medical Center in Utah, and then I came to California in 2011. And I've been here in California since then. And I've worked at now 9 different medical centers. And I've only been a nurse in the operating room, just surgery. And so I've probably placed over 16,000 catheters. So I've been placing catheters since the very first day that I was in nursing school. So it's been something that has been a part of my life for essentially going on 2 decades now. And it's something that is very near and dear to my heart because I know how critical every step of the process is when you are placing these catheters, because you are introducing organisms and you are creating trauma. And urologists are some of my most favorite doctors to work for and work with, especially because my father had prostate cancer. And he did die from prostate cancer. So I am a freak when it comes to catheters. And so even when I'm teaching, it's just something that I don't think could be any more cardinal to our practice as surgical nurses, because it's what happens before you even prep the patient for surgery. And that catheter is going to stay in them and with them for likely the duration of their hospital stay. So it's absolutely paramount that you are as diligent as possible when you're placing these catheters. Telling me about this new device, I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, every time I think about it, I get covered in chills because I thought, this is ingenious. How has nobody ever thought about this before? Just to use simple standard suction to siphon the urine out. There's no introduction of organism. There's no trauma whatsoever. It's just brilliant and genius. And the suction, it's all throughout the hospitals everywhere. And then the device itself to bring it home, it's wizardry. And so I came home and I plugged it in and I turned it on, and it literally took me less than a minute, 2 minutes to figure it out. It's so easy, so simple. And so then I tried it and I could not believe how fabulous it felt, because it's soft and it's honestly almost warm because it's warm room temperature. It doesn't get cold. It felt so good, so comfortable, so soft. And when I did all the work for me, it was wild. And so I was watching my urine come through the device and then through the tubing into the canister. And it was just a classic eureka moment. It was the coolest thing in the world. So as soon as I was all done, and I truly didn't even want to take it off because it just felt so good, I could not believe that it fully emptied my bladder. And I wanted to use it in the middle of the night, when it's dark, but the tubing and the device was exactly where I had left it. And I turned the light on and used it again. And I just couldn't believe how wonderful it felt. Again, completely emptied my bladder. I was so worried because, in the middle of the night, it's freezing cold. And this thing, it was perfectly room temperature. It was warm, soft. It felt absolutely fantastic. I just thought, I can't wait for everybody to try this and use this, because it just changes everything. Absolutely everything. I don't think we'll ever have to use catheters again. Ingenious. And so I loved it. There's nothing more satisfying than watching that urine being collected into the canister, and it's perfectly clean. And then I just simply emptied the canister in the toilet later. I mean, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And a story that we were talking about earlier, a very dear friend of mine, he had a stroke about a couple months ago. And then he came home and he had caregivers that were not properly caring for him. And essentially he was not emptying his bladder. And so he developed a horrific UTI that triggered seizures. And I had never heard of this before. It was unbelievable to me. And when he came to the emergency room at Scripps in La Jolla, they could not even insert a catheter because there was so much sludge in his urethra. It was horrific. So when he was finally upstairs in the ICU, and they had to intubate him because he was unable to breathe on his own. And the urologist came with a nurse from the OR, and it took them about 15 minutes to place a catheter. It was really, really heart-wrenching. And to see the sludge that came out of his urethra into the tubing and into the bag, I mean, it was inconceivable to me that this happened at home. And if only he had had this device, I really cannot imagine that this would have happened, because the device would have been doing the work for him. There would be no reason for diapers. There'd be no reason for a catheter. There would be none of it. It would have done the work for him. And then at the same time, the caregivers would have been able to measure the urine so that they could check in with his doctor on a daily basis to say, his intake was 2,000 milliliters and his output was 1,500. And I just think that this is invaluable going forward. He never, ever would have had to go to the hospital if he had had this device. And it just makes me think, oh my goodness gracious, I can't even imagine all the cases that I don't know about that are all over the country, all the time. And these are just such preventable infections that I hope with all my heart that we can get this device into as many homes, into as many practices, just get the word out, because it's life-changing and life-saving. So thank you.